forgive the OCD side of me, but how many of you just love to create to-do lists? I know not many of you are as paranoid as I am about having everything you need to do on paper, but I like to keep the chaos of everyday life to a minimum. So, the bottom line is, school puts way too much pressure and high expectations on students concerning homework and standardized tests. According to Allie Bidwell, a writer about education, she says that students are assigned by teachers about 3.5 hours of homework a week. If you multiply that by 6 out of 7 of those classes, that's about 20 hours of homework a week. So then you break that down, and that's 4 hours per night. Where do I find those 4 hours? I mean, by the time I go to after practice, after school, I go home, I eat dinner, and then I do homework for 4 hours, and I'm tired. So, I mean, that's not even enough time to shower. I mean, oh, we're good. I mean, okay. So, an educational writer, Edward Rock, also wrote, "A national crime at the feet of parents." He said that homework is a disruption to youth. It messes up their physical and mental health. Work overload. School-related symptoms are due to too much pressure and anxiety. Students are in their desks for about 7 hours a day, and then at least 2 hours of homework. That's 45 to 55 hours a week. 45 to 55 hours a week. That's more than my parents work. I mean, geez, you think you'd get paid or something. School. Heart academic, heart creative. That's about 60-40, right? My version, heart academic, heart creative. 75-25. I mean, how does school administrators expect us to work hard to keep up our resume for colleges and do extracurriculars? But how do we have that time to do clubs and sports? I mean, I do things that make me happy, but I don't have time to. So shouldn't I be able to have that time to do those things that I want to? I mean, I could, but that just equals death. I mean, and death is signing over all my rights to get a good night's sleep and keep up my GPA. This brings me to my next most frustrating topic, standardized tests. ACT, SATs, every high school's nightmare. And let's not forget the dreadful M-STEP and the Aspire and the PSAT. So what are these used for? These are used to indicate the government to how our educational system is doing and making sure it's doing its job. Standardized tests is a set of standard questions that every student takes. But the thing is, not everyone is the same. We're not standard. We study differently, we learn differently, and we think differently. And this is an experiment. But every scholar knows that for a good experiment to work, that all these variables must be consistent. The thing is, they're not. These variables such as what state they're in, or what grade they're in, how old they are, and the financial state of the school. Or even does that affect their school resources, like computers and stuff? So it's not really fair. We have different curriculums at different paces and different speeds. Statistics. U.S. students assigned these standard tests say that they went from 18th ranked for math in 2000 and then 31st in 2009. Similar decline in science and reading and writing as well. This is not surprising to me. I mean, students go in and generally try to do their best. Approaches versus outcomes. Positive approaches before the test and negative outcomes at the end. So when you approach the ACT and you open the packet, you see these questions, okay, yeah, they start off easy, but then they get harder. And after about 45 of these questions, you start to freak out, you start to give up, and you don't know what to do. So we're taught, example, distance formulas or regular formulas you just plug in. But when you get these questions on the test, they're more amplified, so they're a lot harder than you actually expect. And so you just go through the test and you're like, what am I doing? You begin to freak out. You just add more stress to yourself. So their approaches go from, I'll try my best, since you can't technically study for these tests, to when they finish, it's just, why should I even try? It's a negative impact on education because students just give up. So the guess if the ACT is not for us, who are they really for? They're really for the school's funding. So we have to go through all the work, we're put through all the stress just for the school's funding, and we're actually penalized with the score as well, for the ACT or the SAT. If you get a low score, it can stop you from progressing into another grade level, or even a rejection for colleges. And if you do well, you just get continue the funding on the school and local funding as well. The reality of testing is, I'm not standard, and I don't think any of you are either. These tests, you don't really study for it, so you just try your best. But the thing is, it's different than how we're taught. We're taught by different people, and these tests are not like what our teachers have taught us. All teachers teach in different ways. So we are individuals. Once again, we learn differently, we study differently, and we think differently. Homework and standardized tests brings a whole lot of stress and anxiety. And the thing is, we're kids. Why should we be put through all that work and stress? I mean, that's more than adults. 1/4 of all U.S. students have said that they have anxiety. That's not normal. That's not okay. That's 1 out of every 4. Do your children ever experience school-related symptoms? Just like I mentioned earlier, these school-related symptoms are headaches, stomach aches, sleep disabilities, and possibly depression. How far is too far? A little stress is a good thing, right? That's the normal saying. But really, how far is too far? You get school absences, you get maybe even school dropouts, and substance abuse. I know people who are taking Ritalin and Zoloft because they're under anxiety and stress and they just don't know how to handle it besides taking those substances. Teenagers or adults, right? So if they say those teenagers think they're adults or something, how many of your parents ever think, oh, stop acting like you're an adult, right? I know mine has. So, I mean, if we're treated like adults and we're acting like we're going to our college careers every second of the day and it's study, memorize, learn, and test, how are we supposed to act like anything else? The definition of a teenager is children who are ranged from 13 to 18. So if we're technically children, why are we treated with adult expectations? Teens experience, 27% say they experience extreme stress. That's more than 1/4 of teens. Teens' average stress level is 5.8 out of 10, and adults say that they were 5.1 in the last month. 5.8 out of 10 is during the school year. Let's forget the summer because we're talking about school right now, but they're very close averages, but teens experience more stress than adults for that long amount of time during school. And that is not okay, that's not normal. The alternative is fewer standardized tests. I mean, we have the ACT and we have the SAT. We don't need, I'm sorry, I'm sad, but we don't need you. We don't want you here. We don't need any more additionals. And I think a lot of you would agree with me. And the other thing is, please minimize the stress for me. I mean, no less homework, please, no more homework. The importance is family, friends, and maintaining youth. With all the stress and anxiety and possibly substance abuse, we're forced to grow up early. We have high expectations on us and a lot of expectations and pressure, and we're forced to grow up early. We're forced to worry more than everyone else. So that's not okay. Can't we just be a kid for a little bit longer? And I never have time, I don't know about you, but I never have time just to go home, relax, sit and have a nice meal with my family because I'm worried about what tests I have to study for the next day. I'd like to see my family actually once in a while, but so the importance is focus on your family, less homework, and do your studies at school. Anyways, I have to go study for finals exam now, so bye!